Hello everybody, how are you doing? I'm going to get rid of this banner and I'm going to put your comments on, and here we are. Tea with the Druid 213. Wow. Hey, hello there. Pop a comment into the comments. This is going all over the place. This is going to my Facebook pages, the OBOD Facebook pages and YouTube channels. It's going to Philip's YouTube channel and Facebook page. It's Goring. Hey, just down the road. Hello, London. Come in, London. How are you? Hey, Iowa, USA. Fantastic. Oh, this is wonderful. So it's going all over the place. If you're watching this from my YouTube channels and the like, you know who I am. That's fine. Some of you might not know who I am, or may be thinking, wow, Philip's grown his hair a little bit. Well, I'm not Philip, but this is Tea with the Druid, Belgium. Oh, look at this. Wow, fantastic. 112 degrees in Las Vegas. I remember being in Missouri once at the Pagan Spirit Gathering with Selena Fox. And we had a morning meeting, and she said, tomorrow it's going to be 100 degrees with 100% humidity. And I thought, 100% humidity. That's just water, isn't it? I'm just going to come out of my tent tomorrow and just drown. So, wow, 112, that must be really, well, obviously that's very warm. New Mexico, Hawaii, oh, Maastricht, Missouri, yeah. Where's it? 105 in Missouri today. Oh. And your humidity, oh my word. However, I do remember the fireflies in the Ozark Mountains. Absolutely breathtaking. So, lots of people are joining. We've got loads of people. Wow, 325, 330, well, loads of people. Welcome to Tea with the Druid with me tonight, Damh the Bard. A little bit about me if you don't know who I am. I joined the Order in 1995, and it took me about 8 years to work through the Order's teachings and the Order's Guerci. Before that, I was a ceremonial magician. And 1998, I started working in the OBOD office, and you'll probably know my voice if you listen to Druidcast. You're listening to Druidcast episode 213. Well, that's me. I do the Orders podcast each month as well. Myself and Kerry run a grove here in Sussex, and open rituals at Longman of Wilmington. And, you know, that's really my path in. Oh, and yes, well, just a slight detail. In 2010, I was initiated as the Order's Pendragon, taken over from Will Worthington, who had been the Pendragon for the previous 19 years. So, that is me. That's who you're watching. Thank you for tuning in. I am going to, as I have the sword here, I have the Order's sword in my possession here. This is the Order's sword. And at the festivals we hold in Glastonbury, I often unsheath this sword. I'm only going to pull it out a little bit tonight and say a few words just to tune in. So if you want to just get a bit comfortable, and I will do this. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's take a few long, slow breaths together just to centre. So let's take a long, slow breath with the earth beneath us. And a long, slow breath with the sky above us. And a long, slow breath with the seas and the rivers and the streams of your land. Behold this, our Order's sword, drawn from the lake of still meditation, and returned to it again, ever sharp and ever with us, should our lake be still. Om. Okay. So, what I said I would talk about a little bit was some people have said to me that they feel like they've lost a little bit of connection with their path. Certainly since lockdown and the pandemic. And I think I'd come clean with you. I felt this a similar way. When the pandemic hit, I realised how much of my Druidry was connected with other people, with seeing other people, with doing open ceremonies, with that kind of thing, with the order, with the celebrations at Glastonbury, with our camps and conferences, my music and the camps and conferences I play as well with my music. And of course, in an instant, all of that was gone. And what it did for me is it gave me an opportunity to regroup and to rethink. Because I realised that a lot of my Druidry, if you're familiar with the Obod Druid grade, you'll know that it's very much about service, about giving back to the community after the journey through the Bard and the Ovate. And I realised that a lot of my Druidry was that direction. It was about in service to the community. And of course, when I wasn't doing that, well, what was left? And I think a lot of you have felt that when you could no longer meet with your groves, your C groups, or go to your conferences and camps, maybe there was that disconnect of, what's actually left there for me? So much was dependent on the community. And so there at our moots, we have a talking stick moot once a month, and we have the jam jar of possibilities. And in the jam jar of possibilities, there is all of the topics that we've put in that we wanted to talk about, and each month we pull one out and we choose it, and then we talk about it for the rest of the evening. But there's one little bit of paper that when we pull it out and we talk about for the evening always goes back in, and that little bit of paper has 2 words on it, and it just says, "Why though?" Yeah? And what it is all about is, why do we do what we do? And all of this changes, of course. I am a different person inside with slightly different views of the world than I was in 1995 or 1996, 97, when I wrote The Noon of the Solstice. I still hold very similar beliefs, but so much has happened, so much experience has happened, that it's good to reconnect every now and again and to just go, well, why? Why do I do what I do? Why do I believe what I believe? Is it still serving me? Is it, am I still serving it? And one of the things I thought of, I would go back to the very beginning and think, well, what drew me to this stuff in the first place? Not just Druidry, but everything, that my whole path. And I realised what it was. Early on, it was magic. Magic was the thing that drew me to this path. It wasn't necessarily a spiritual thing at that point, because I was a teenager, and my idea of that kind of stuff was, Rainbow and Black Sabbath and all that kind of thing. And but I realised it was magic, and I said, well, what is magic? Lots of people have said to me, and we have this discussion, if you put 50 druids in a room and ask them what Druidry is, you will get 50 different answers, which some people find incredibly frustrating. I think it's fantastic, because it shows the individuality of connection that we get through our Druid path. And the same has happened with magic. If you were to say, what is magic, to 50 magicians, and whether they're druids or Wiccans or whatever, you're likely to get 50 different responses. And the response I came up with was that magic, and this is a bit weird, all right, but magic is a bit like dance. I thought, yeah, it's a bit like dance. So ceremonial magic, if you're familiar with it, or ritual magic, is like ballroom dancing, okay? That was what I came up with, ballroom dancing, because there are recognised steps. there are rules. There, often the dance or the magic often takes place inside in a temple, and there are distinct patterns and rules and things that go within ceremonial magic and ballroom dancing. And I thought, okay, so ceremonial magic is ballroom dancing, right? What is shamanism? What's that kind of, that kind of aspect of magic? And I thought, okay, that's the 90s rave. Yeah, that's heading off to a warehouse somewhere in the middle of nowhere, sticking on the beats and the thumps of like the Prodigy and all that kind of thing, and losing your mind to the music and just going off on an absolute journey to the rhythms and the music of the song, and just free flowing and going with it, and with the help of certain other things that probably happened in the warehouses of those raves back in the 90s. But I thought, yeah, that's I can see that it's like, free form and loose. I said, well, what's Wicca, witchcraft, and druidry? What's that kind of thing? And I thought, well, it's Morris dancing. Oh, I can see some of you going, no, Dave, it's not Morris dancing. But bear with me, because Morris dancing does have recognised kind of steps in a way, as we do with the calling of the quarters, casting in the circle, blessing with fire and water, and that kind of thing, Druid's prayer, Arwen. But no one actually gets upset if suddenly somebody says something wrong or something like that. So, the steps in Morris dancing are quite distinct. But so long as you don't end up hitting somebody with sticks or a handkerchief, you're kind of okay. The other thing that I thought about Morris dancing and magic was that it is informed by folklore and myth. And so obviously so is Druidry, Wicca and witchcraft is informed by folklore and myth. And the other thing that it holds hand in hand is, of course, that it often takes place around pubs. So I thought, okay, so magic-wise, I'm a Morris dancer, okay? And I thought, okay, so what does that mean? And of course, I love folklore and myth, and I think some of you do as well. And that is what informs a lot of my Druidry. But the other thing is that I know that the essence and energy behind those myths is a connection to the natural world. The myths themselves, not even the poems of Taliesin and the like, the myths and the stories are not the mystery. They are the keys to the mystery. And the mystery lies in the natural world. And if you were to look closely at the poems of Taliesin, or if you were to look closely at the energies and the stories and the ideas that are held within stories like the Mabinogi, you will see that they are ways of experiencing and looking at the natural world. And when I say the natural world, I mean I include what we call the other world within the natural world. I also include magic within the natural world, because I see that as an absolutely natural force, as natural as gravity or anything else. So the connection to the natural world is also a connection to the other worlds and to magic. Okay, I hope you're still with me. And so at the beginning of the pandemic, I was thinking all of this stuff through, and I thought, that is really the basis of my Druidry. And the disconnection that I was feeling was that I wanted to reconnect again personally with all of those things, with the natural worlds. Yeah. And one of the ways we of course connect with the natural world is via the Wheel of the Year. And the Wheel of the Year, some people I've seen on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and all those places, people are going, oh no, it's all old, it's invented by Ross Nichols and invented by Gerald Gardner, it's not ancient, and all those kinds of things. And do you know what? I don't care. I really do not care that it might be a thing that was put together in the 1950s. To me, at some point as modern Druids, we've got to stop looking backwards for all of the inspiration. Yeah, It doesn't all lie in the past. At some point, thousands of years ago, somebody was the first person to mark the summer solstice, and then it was new. All right. So I think, I feel like I need to own the modern Druid path that I am walking, and stop looking backwards for validation and authority, and just say, no, this works. This really, really works. It may be from the 50s, but it absolutely works. And so if the way I've always approached the Wheel of the Year, with this connection that I'm talking about, and if you have lost a little bit of your connection, I would say, make sure that you personally, as well as your groves and your groups, but personally, your personal connection, mark the Wheel of the Year somehow. It doesn't have to be prescriptive in as much of the way that the Wheel of the Year is explained and informed basically in the southern part of England or in Northern Europe. If you are in Australia or in America, Canada, anywhere, you have a moment in time which is about the 1st of February, and a moment in time that gives you the opportunity to just take stock, slow down and stop and look at the changes that are happening all around you in the natural world. And so for me here, I feel like the wheel, if a wheel does start, it feels like to me it starts at the winter solstice with the rebirth of the light. And the wheel also is not, it does reflect a life, of course it does, from birth to youth to full life, to age and wisdom, and then to death. Of course, the Wheel of the Year does reflect that. But to me, the Wheel of the Year is an endless circle of gratitude and thanksgiving. That's what it's about to me. It's not about humans particularly. It's about my connection as a human animal with the rest of this land around me. So I will see the first springs of life at Imbolc. I will see those first flowers at the spring equinox. At Beltane, the world, where I live in the south of England, the land is awash with fertility and life. And it's just beautiful and vibrant and celebratory. And of course, the summer solstice, the image of summer solstice to me is elderflower and green corn. That's when I know that that's the time of year. I can see that in the landscape. And then obviously at Lunacy, the golden corn comes along. And when the Lunacy, the autumn equinox, where you've got on the fruits, and the autumn equinox with the fruits. And then, of course, apples, sloes, and the sort of idea of everything fading away, and giving thanks for that, and connecting with that fading away of the land around, thinking of the ancestors and people in our lives that have also gone and crossed that path as well, until it comes around again to the winter solstice with the rebirth of the light. And what myself and Kerry, we've been doing the LongmanWilmington rituals now since March, the spring equinox 2020. We've been back to the same spot for every 6 weeks now, for rain, shine, snow, everything, and seen the changing landscapes all around us. And so if you connect with the Wheel of the Year, one of the beautiful things is to go back to the same spot for a year, and then go back to the same spot for the second year, and remember what was happening in the landscape at that time during that particular cycle of the Wheel of the Year. And of course, once you do this, what I find is I start to unpick myself from these human constructs that we see. Because what upsets me on Facebook, YouTube, on the news, is human stuff. It's all stuff we do to each other, to the planet, and that kind of thing. And actually, when I take a moment to look out the window and I see the gulls, and I see the peregrine falcon outside our window, or I see the sparrows, or I hear the foxes, I realise actually that the wild doesn't give a damn about our constructs. It's all just getting on with it. Like, borders, for instance, a fox doesn't know when it crosses a border. It's only us. They're created by us. If we all went, no, they wouldn't. The borders would all go. So I try to disconnect on that level and just focus out into the natural world. And when I do that, I feel a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of connection, because I realise that actually, once all of that noise quietens down, I am just a human animal. I am utterly, utterly dependent on this planet that I live upon. Utterly dependent upon it. I heard a Druid once say on a podcast that their Druidry has nothing to do with fertility whatsoever. And I can't understand that, because how are you alive? And how do you stay alive? And doesn't that mean something? Because all of that is what, to me, Druidry is about. It's that connection with the natural world. Wow, I've been talking for 20 minutes already. I hope this is meaning something. So, yes, where are we? Yes. So I'm going to read a little bit of your comments here. Yes. So how do we bring that into our lives in a simple way? Well, obviously, I think there are two things that I've done in my life that have utterly changed my connection to the natural world. One of those was obviously joining OBOD in 1995. That journey through the three grades, particularly the Bard and Ovate for me, were magical in the way that they reconnected me with the natural world. Now, I've heard people say, "Oh, I can't join the order because I'm not a bard. I don't write poetry." That's not the point. That's kind of like a recognised bardic skill. I mean, my music, I guess, you say, "Oh, bard." But actually, the energy of the bard is to say, it's not necessarily to be a poet. It is to access and encourage the creativity in your life in any way, whether that's cooking, raising your children, or whatever, to encourage the creativity of stepping into the flow of the awen, right? But what that does, just automatically, and what that did for me, is suddenly it shifts your perception. And although you may not write as a poet, suddenly you realise that you're seeing the world through the eyes of a poet. And that is what makes the difference to me, and that connection. And also with the Ovate, with the connection with the trees and the Ogham and everything like that. That was a very important thing that I did that made that connection to the natural world. And the other thing I did was I enrolled on a course with Ray Mears, the survival expert, on his Woodlaw school. And so the Druid part gave me the mythology, the stories, the folklore, the herbalism of the circle, and the bushcraft, the wilderness awareness side, gave me the practical uses of living in the woods and surviving as part of being the landscape. So those two things together create to me the circle of that connection. What can you do on a daily basis? Okay. Yes, seeing through the eyes of a poet. It's true. It's true. And I tell you, it's like you open, I think it was Terry Pratchett. He said, you open your eyes and then you open them again. So what can you do if you are feeling disconnected as well? Well, one of the things that you definitely can do, and that I did, was change my morning routine. I used to get up in the morning, right close to the time that I had to start work for the day, give myself no time whatsoever. I used to go downstairs, make myself a really strong coffee, get on Facebook, read up all of what has been happening on Facebook, and then I would read the news of a newspaper. And every day about 10 o'clock I was exhausted, and there was no connection there, because the moment I had woken up, the day was ahead of me. It was full of potential, and the first thing I did was read the news. My advice, my friends, is do not do that. Save that to the afternoon. When you get up in the morning, if you want to join me with what I do, I will go downstairs, and the first thing I will do on a day like this, I will open up our doors, you know, the patio doors to the garden or whatever like that. If you're living in a flat, just open a window, and just spend 10 minutes in silence, just looking at what the day is like, feeling what you feel, giving yourself permission, you know, to have a good day ahead of you, but sensing also any of those kinds of resistances that are going on and acknowledging them, but certain amount of silence. Give that to yourself, you know, about 10 minutes. And to do this, I just set my alarm clock for another extra half an hour earlier. That's all I've done. So silence, meditation, maybe 10 minutes meditation in the morning is the first thing you do. Meditation, I've heard that one say, oh, I can't meditate. Well, meditation is literally sitting still, eyes open or closed, becoming aware of breath, going in and out of your body, and then becoming aware of thoughts. It's not trying to be perfect. It's literally just being aware, so that later on in the day, when one of your thoughts comes in, the ones of those negative thoughts that gets at you and starts to nag at you, you're aware. You've trained yourself in the morning every day for just 10 minutes to go, that's just a thought. That's a thought. And you let it go like a cloud crossing a blue sky. And it's the practice that counts, not perfection. All right, I'm terrible. I'm a terrible meditator. If I was to judge myself, but that's just let that go. Let the judgment go, and do give yourself 10-minute meditation. You can use one of these apps. There's Calm, Headspace. I think I use one called Insight Timer. You know, just do that for yourself. And then what I do is I will have a book to hand of truly inspirational words, and I will give myself 10 or 15 minutes to read just a bit of this book. And at the moment I'm reading one called I think it's called Braiding Sweetgrass or something like that. It's a beautiful book. I've read these books by Robert Macfarlane, The Wild Places, The Old Ways. You can see how much they mean to me, all these markers and landmarks. If you've not heard of Robert Macfarlane, you know, just buy this one first, The Wild Places, and just sit down and just give yourself 10 or 15 minutes just reading that book. So the first thing you do is you look after yourself, and then you feed yourself some positive energy and information. And then I will do a little ritual to start my day. I've woken up by then, and I will do Braiding Sweetgrass, such a beautiful book. That's what I'm reading at the moment. I will do a little ritual, and if you followed my blog, you will see and know that I've changed this little ritual. It used to be asking for inspiration, but I realised probably after reading a little bit of Braiding Sweetgrass that really the inspiration I need is already there. It's up to me to open up to it and give thanks to it. So if you would like to join me, I know there's a meditation in this Tea with a Druid. I haven't had any tea yet. Cheers, my friends. Tea with a Druid, haven't had any tea. Totally cold. There we are. I don't mind. So, so I've done a little blog. If you go to paganmusic.co.uk and look at the blog, you can see this written down. So if you like what I'm about to do, you can go there and you can adapt it to your own use if you want. But what I do is and if you want to, you can close your eyes with me now. Just close your eyes. You could, if you want to, keep your eyes open, and you could face the directions in your rooms and actually physically do this. That's entirely up to you. Or you can just imagine yourself facing each direction. And so I will stand up in my room and I will face the east. And I say out loud, I face the east, the place of air. I give thanks for the inspiration and clarity of thought that you bring to my life. I give thanks to the birds and insects of the air and of the high places of the earth. I give thanks to the air that I breathe and the life-giving air. I give thanks for the gifts of dawn and the gifts of spring. And bow to the east, turn to the south. I face the south, the place of fire. I give thanks for the intuition and the passion you bring to my life. I give thanks to the power of the sun that draws the life from the earth. I give thanks to the gifts of community of the hearth fire. I give thanks to the gifts and for the gifts of summer and of midday. Bow to the south. Turn to the west. I face the west, the place of water. I give thanks for the understanding of my deep emotions and the wisdom they teach me. I give thanks to the life-giving waters of the land, of the rain, of the streams, the rivers and seas that surround this sacred island. I give thanks to the gifts of autumn and to sunset. Bow to the west and turn to the north. I face the north, the place of earth. I give thanks to the groundedness and stability that you bring to my life, to the life-giving earth and all the creatures upon it. I give thanks to the life of the earth, of the mountains and the caves and the fields. I give thanks to the gifts of winter and of the night. Bow to the north. Come back to face to the east. And then bring your hands to your heart space and imagine the light of the four directions streaming from each direction into you. And I say, and in my centre, where they meet in my spirit, may I be blessed and healed and protected. Bring your arms down to your side, and as you do, see four streams of light coming out of your heart space and towards the earth. And you say, may the earth be protected and healed. So may it be. And then open your eyes. So that's my morning routine. After I've done that, I'm ready to go. And of course, you know, you may want to read the news, you may want to connect with Facebook, but my real advice would be don't do that first thing in the morning. Don't make that your first thing that you do. Leave it till the afternoon or in the evening when you've had a great day and everything's there. But as I say, if you want the words to that, just pop onto my website, paganmusic.co.uk, go to the blog there and you'll see it, I think, in the last post or two, something like that. So I will end with just a couple of quotes from Robert Macfarlane, and then I'm going to play you a song. This is a bit longer than normal. Sorry about that. I hope you're okay with that. It doesn't look like anyone's left yet. So Robert Macfarlane, in this book, The Wild Places, he says this: "We are, as a species, finding it increasingly hard to imagine that we are part of something which is larger than our own capacity. We have come to accept the heresy of aloofness, a humanist belief in human difference, and we suppress wherever possible the checks and balances on us, the reminders that the world is greater than us, or that we are contained within it. On almost every front, we have begun to turn away from a felt relationship with the natural world. And he then goes to say later, as you sit on a hillside, or lie prone under the trees of the forest, or sprawl wet-legged by the mountain stream, the grey door that does not look like a door opens. And that, my friends, that is the source and foundation of my Druidry, and I think it is for a lot of you too. So I'm going to play you a little song, and then I will bid you farewell. This is a little song that I wrote recently. It's not recorded anywhere yet. So new, but I don't know the words, so I'm going to have to put them here. And it's inspired by a quotation from Mother Teresa, actually. And when she wrote, she said, do something beautiful today. I thought, well, that's a lovely quote. I'm going to write a song with that energy, because you can tell by my tie-dye top. Yeah, I'm a hippie, okay? And I don't mind saying it. I think the world would be a better place if people were a little bit more kind. So let's do something beautiful. Let's do something beautiful no one will expect. Inspired something kind, given not collect. Let's do something beautiful, dial a friend before they call. And if you hear them tumble, catch them when they fall. For the future's like a seed in our hands. It will better grow in soil than in sand. We can plough and sow together, hand in hand, and watch the flowers spread throughout the land. Let's do something beautiful. Let's do something beautiful. Set our course and take the reins. There's a bright and better future. It's time to make a change. Let's do something beautiful. Go and play out in the sun. We've been too long in shadows. Let's go and have some fun. For the future's like a seed in our hands. It will better grow in soil than in sand. We can plough and sow together, hand in hand, and watch the flowers spread throughout the land. Let's do something beautiful. Let's do something beautiful. Take the higher ground. It's better to have sung your song than never made a sound. Let's do something beautiful. Set our sails to calmer winds and leave the rats upon the shore. It's a race, no one wins. For the future's like a seed in our hands. It will better grow in soil than in and sand. We can plough and sow together, hand in hand, and watch those flowers spread throughout the land. Let's do something beautiful. Hey. Well, thank you for spending this 40 minutes with me. I hope it's given you some inspiration. I hope it's helped you to think about and to somehow reconnect. I thoroughly recommend the morning routine, the practice of gratitude, meditation. As I say, relax with your meditation. Don't try and be perfect, but just do it, my friends. Be gentle with each other, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, and I will see you at my next house concert as well. So yeah, pop over to paganmusic.co.uk and see what's going on over there for the house concerts. It's so lovely to see all your comments. I've been trying not to read too many of them. I think, you know, my spiritual animal is a deer, but I think in time inside I'm a dog. I'm like Doug, you know, from that Disney movie. It's like squirrel. So I have to keep my eyes away from the comments, but I'm going to read them all now. Anyway, thank you, my friends. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Peace and blessed be. Thank you. Bye-bye.